In the Pacific Northwest, and in British Columbia in particular, chironomids attain large sizes. So big, we affectionately call them bombers. This version of the zucchini, a popular British Columbia fly, is intended to suggest emerging bomber pupa. Here are the materials you will need to tie your own crop of zucchinis. So let's tie the zucchini. And we're going to tie this one big, bomber sized. If you ever visit British Columbia in the summer months of July and August, there are some huge chironomid hatches that come off, not only in density and numbers, but the size of the pupa. Into the jaws of the vise, I've got a Daiichi 1760 number 10. You can even tie these as big as a number 6 on those rare occasions, or 12s. And of course you could tie this fly in smaller sizes on this hook, or even the smaller shanked 1120 curved scud hook. So onto the hook, I've slid a 7/64 bead. That's what I like to use on number 10s. For 12s and 14s, I'd use 3/32. Okay, this is a big, robust chironomid, so you can waste a lot of thread building up a proportional body. So one of the tricks you can do, I learned from John Kent, a great chironomid tire, good friend, is using uni-stretch. And since this is a black-bodied fly, I'm going to use some black uni-stretch. So in the event your fly gets somewhat shredded during the battle, the black will show through and keep your fly in the game a little bit longer and catching more fish. So I've got it on a wide-barreled floss bobbin. I'm just going to start the uni-stretch right behind the bead, pack some wraps into the back hole of the bead, and then secure the balance of the uni-stretch, that tag end, down about maybe a third or so. And I'm going to spin it counterclockwise, and now I'm going to come back up, and I'm just going to build up a subtle taper right at the front of the fly. And that's good. It's just subtle. It's just saving us some thread wrap. And now you can half hitch or whip finish right behind the bead. Disengage, give it a tug, pull tight. Now we're just going to attach our tying thread, so I'm going to put some regular 8/0. I'm going to start it right behind the bead. And again, if I lift up on this tag end, you can see how all those thread wraps generally slide right down one against each other, against the preceding wrap, and I'm just going to secure this down. And because that uni-stretch is a little bit stretchy, as its name would imply, you can compress it a bit and help build up the taper, or help augment the taper is probably a better word. And we're just going to secure that down the shank a little ways, and then I'm going to come in, trim off the excess, and then continue building or putting a thread base down into the bend slightly, and then we're going to come back up. It's just providing a bit of traction. And on the way back up, I'm going to stop and use my tying thread again, just to stop in a few spots, tread water, and just continue to try and build up a nice even taper. Okay, we got that sitting there. You can see how that's working out. Now I'm going to tie the ribbing in, and for the ribbing I'm using some small ultra wire in red. I'm just going to take that, a length off of it off, lay it on the side of the shank, pull back on it a little bit, get it secured in place, and then secure this down, right down the shank to where we finished putting the thread underbody. Place that in the material clip. And then we're going to put a little red holographic butt on there to suggest the residual hemoglobin that often gathers not only on the abdominal segments but at the tip of the abdomen. We just need to catch that in a little bit. And I'm just mindful of where that thread hangs in relation to the point, so it doesn't accidentally sever the thread or nick it and have it break at an inconvenient, not there's ever a convenient time I guess to break thread. And now we're just going to make a little red butt by placing roughly 3 wraps. Tie off. Nip off the excess. For the body, I'm going to use some black holographic mylar. It's kind of got, I don't know if the camera shows it, but it's a bit of a greenish tinge to it. I believe that in part is where the fly got its name from, is that sort of zucchini greenish tinge. So we're just going to take a length of this, and it's not going to add too much bulk, so we're just going to lay that flat on top. I'm actually going to secure back onto the butt a little bit, and then carry forward. Again, as I come forward, I'm using that opportunity just to continue working on the taper. We're just going to go right up to where the back of the bead, and now we're just going to start winding our body material forward. Close turns, trying to make slightly overlapping, and again, don't be in a hurry to move forward. I kind of come up and just slightly off the vertical. Nice controlled wrap, so I overlap slightly as best you can. All the way up to the tying thread. And this is going to make a nice black body with a little greenish tinge. It's going to catch light and reflect and stand out in the crowd. And boy, when they're on these bombers, it's fun. And you can also fish bomber patterns, you know, as an attractor, you know, where you're exaggerating the size of the pupa. It's common, I've run into it, where you're fishing, you're trying to match the hatch as far as the pupa that are coming off smaller sizes, and you're getting the odd fish, you think you should be doing well, and then you put a big chunk of meat out like this that's grossly disproportional to what they're eating, and they go crazy for it. So now we're ready to wind the rib forward. So we're going to put one complete wrap right at the base of the body. You can use your thumbnail if you like to make sure it's tight. Try to come through with your second wrap through the mid portion of the butt, and then just open the wrapping up from there. Oops. Make sure that doesn't slide. Just looking for nice even ribbing. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's the target. Doesn't matter if you get 8 or 6, but tie that off. We want those 7, the target, is because of the 9 body segments chironomid pupa have. And then we're just going to twist and break away the excess. Make sure we got that tied down. Thumbnail on the spot. And eventually it breaks away. And now you could simply whip finish the fly here, but what I'm going to do is give the fly a little rusty brown thorax to suggest the coloration of the wing pads of the pupa that are often that rusty brown coloration. Again, it's a little bit of contrast for the fly, so we're just going to take some 8.0 MFC rusty brown, start that in right behind the bead, and all we're going to do is build up a little focused rusty brown thorax. This is optional. Some tyers tie this fly with just a black thorax. Probably even put a hot orange one, a little attractor. It's up to you. You can personalize these flies however you want. And just build that up right at the back of the bead. And don't be too aggressive when you build up that taper, or else all the thread will tumble during the whip finish process. So nice gentle slope up to the bead. Take your time to build it. Disengage the thread. And now we're just going to apply a body coating. So we're going to use some of the UV clear fly finish in Flow to coat the body. And we can just brush this on. Let that fill in all the gaps in between the ribbing, add some luster, durability. Right down, right all over everything. Even the bead will help build up a protective coating on that bead too, should an errant cast strike the side of a boat or something like that, chip it off. And then you can rotate that around, make sure you've got good distribution of your UV resin. Just keep it moving. You could use a dubbing needle or a bodkin as well to distribute. And when you're happy with how it looks, which I believe I am, I'm just going to come in and cure the resin with the UV light. That's why these are called UV resins. Not because they give the fly any UV properties, but because it's UV light that cures it. That looks pretty good. You can add multiple coats if you want. You can even put a little, some tires like to put brushable nail polish on, such as Sally Hansen's a long time staple in the Chironomid box. So there you have it, the completed zucchini. A great fly to have in a variety of colors, but especially when the fish are sucking in those big, huge bombers, 10s, 12s, 8s, even 6s sometimes. Not unheard of. For more information on fly fishing, and stillwater fly fishing in particular, please visit my website at flycraftangling.com. Here you will find fishing tips, fly patterns, articles, information regarding my seminars and schools, along with links to my blog and mine and Brian Chan's online stillwater fly fishing store. You can also visit our store directly at stillwaterflyfishingstore.com. While you're visiting my site, please join my mailing list to receive my educational newsletters. You can also follow me through my social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and give this video a like. Please take the time to watch my other videos as well. Thanks for watching.